The warning. The Galactic Coalition vessel Arbiter hung in the void, its sleek hull reflecting the distant starlight as Commander Zekvox studied the ancient derelict that had appeared at the edge of Coalition space. The massive ship drifted silently, its dark metal absorbing rather than reflecting light. A ghost ship that had triggered every alarm in 3 sectors. "Analysis complete, Commander," reported Science Officer Trell, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of nervousness among the Velori. It's human in origin." The command deck fell silent. Humans were legends, stories told to scare young officers, a species that had disappeared from galactic affairs centuries ago, leaving behind only whispered warnings and a single inviolable commandment that had somehow survived in the records of a dozen species: never wake a human sleeper ship. Commander Vox's scales rippled with unease. "Are you certain? The humans vanished 500 cycles ago." "The quantum signature is unmistakable," Trell confirmed, projecting a holographic display of the vessel. "And there's more. The ship isn't derelict. It's in a low-power hibernation state. Life signs detected in cryostasis chambers, thousands of them." Admiral Krell, joining via quantum link from Coalition headquarters, growled through sharp teeth. "Commander, you are to establish a quarantine perimeter and await reinforcements. Do not, I repeat, do not attempt to board or communicate with the vessel." "With respect, Admiral," Vox said, "shouldn't we at least attempt communication? If there are survivors, this could be the find of the millennium." "The humans didn't leave us without reason, Commander," Krell replied, eyes narrowing. "There are records, ancient ones, that speak of what happens when their sleep is disturbed." Lieutenant Miras, the ship's historian, stepped forward. "The records are fragmented, Admiral, but they all contain variations of the same warning. Human ships don't take prisoners. It's been dismissed as superstition for centuries. But, superstition or not," Krell interrupted, "the directive is clear. No contact until the full council reviews the situation." Vox's gaze returned to the view screen. "The nearest council representatives are 3 weeks away at maximum jump. By then, the ship could drift into the hegemony's territory. Do we really want our rivals to be the ones who make first contact with a species from legend?" The silence that followed told Vox everything he needed to know. 6 hours later, Vox led a small team toward the human vessel in the Arbiter's shuttle, against direct orders, but with the tacit understanding that sometimes rules needed bending. "We'll dock at what appears to be a maintenance airlock," he instructed his team of 5, all volunteers. "Passive scans only. No weapons powered. If we detect any sign of defensive systems activating, we withdraw immediately." The shuttle approached the massive hull, which dwarfed their vessel like a leviathan beside a minnow. Up close, the ship's surface revealed intricate patterns, not decorative, but functional. Heat dispersal systems, sensor arrays, and what appeared to be weapon ports, all dormant but preserved in perfect condition. "Commander, I'm detecting energy fluctuations," reported Ensign Corps from the shuttle sensor station. "The ship is responding to our presence." Vox felt his throat tighten. "Define responding." "Power levels are rising across multiple systems. Nothing weapons-related yet, but it knows we're here." They reached the airlock, a massive circular door etched with symbols in the human language. As they approached, lights along the hull flickered to life, bathing their shuttle in a cold blue glow. "I'm receiving the transmission," Kor said, surprise evident in his voice. It's in Coalition standard." A mechanical voice filled the shuttle. "Unidentified vessel, you have approached a United Earth Fleet ship. State your identity and purpose." Vox exchanged glances with his team before responding. "This is Commander Zekvox of the Galactic Coalition vessel Arbiter. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration and first contact." A pause. "Commander, they're accessing our database through our comm channel," Kor exclaimed, fingers flying over his console. "I can't stop it. Their technology is bypassing our firewalls like they don't exist." Vox remained calm. Let them look. We have nothing to hide. The scanning beams disappeared as suddenly as they had appeared. Verification complete. Historical records confirm significant temporal displacement. Emergency Protocol 7 Alpha initiated. Docking permission granted for diplomatic assessment. The massive airlock began to cycle open, revealing a cavernous docking bay beyond. "Are we really doing this, Commander?" asked Trell, her voice barely above a whisper. Vox nodded slowly. "History awaits us. Let's make sure it's the kind worth remembering." The interior of the human vessel was a marvel of engineering, clean lines, functional design, and technology that somehow managed to appear both ancient and advanced simultaneously. The air was breathable but cold, carrying a sterile quality that spoke of long dormancy. "These systems are still operational after 5 centuries, marveled Trell, scanning the corridor with her instruments. "Their power management technology must be beyond anything in the Coalition database." "Life signs?" Vox asked, eyes darting to every shadow, every corner. "Thousands, all in suspended animation. The cryopods are located in the central chamber, approximately 500 meters ahead." They moved cautiously through the ship, guided by lights that activated just before they reached each section, as if the vessel itself was leading them deeper into its heart. Holographic displays flickered to life as they passed, showing diagrams, star charts, and text in the human language. "Commander," Miraz called softly, "these displays are updating in real time. The ship is translating its data into Coalition standard as we move. It's learning from us," Vox realized. "Adapting." They reached a massive door labeled CRYOSTASIS Central in both human text and now Coalition standard beneath it. The door slid open silently as they approached. Beyond lay a vast chamber filled with rows upon rows of transparent pods, each containing a sleeping human. The sight was both magnificent and terrifying. Thousands of beings from legend, preserved in perfect stasis. "By the first stars," whispered Kor. "They're real. They're all real." Vox approached the nearest pod, studying the occupant, a female human with dark hair and features that appeared serene in sleep. A display beside the pod identified her. "Captain Sarah Sheehan, Fleet Commander." As if responding to their presence, the pod systems began to hum. Fluids drained from around the human, and the vital sign monitors accelerated. "Commander," Trell exclaimed, "the pod is initiating revival sequences." "Stop it," Vox ordered, but no one moved. No one knew how. The pod's cover slid open with a soft hiss, releasing a cloud of vapor. The human inside, Captain Chen, opened her eyes, dark and alert despite centuries of sleep. Vox stepped forward, hands raised in the universal gesture of peace. "Captain Chen, I am Commander Zekvox of the Galactic Coalition. We come in peace." The human's eyes focused on him, narrowing slightly as she processed his appearance. The scaled skin, the four-fingered hands, the vertical pupils. Without speaking, she reached to the side of her pod and pressed a sequence on a panel. Throughout the chamber, alarms began to sound. Red lights pulsed in rhythmic warning. "You've boarded a human vessel without authorization," she said, her voice calm but carrying an unmistakable edge of authority. "You were warned." "Captain, please," Vox began, but she cut him off with a gesture. "Protocol is clear. You have 1 standard hour to remove your people from this ship and establish communication channels through proper diplomatic channels." Her eyes swept over the Coalition team. "This vessel contains 10,000 humans. Currently, I am the only one awake. Let's keep it that way, for everyone's sake." Vox felt cold dread settle in his stomach. "And if we require more time?" Captain Chen's expression remained impassive. "Human ships don't take prisoners, Commander." That wasn't a threat. It was a warning that has evidently been forgotten. She glanced at a display. 59 minutes remaining. The Awakening. Admiral Krell's holographic projection towered over the Arbiter's conference room, his rage palpable even across the vast distance. "You disobeyed direct orders, Commander. You may have initiated a diplomatic catastrophe beyond measure." Vox stood firm before his superior's wrath. "With respect, Admiral, we now have direct communication with the human vessel. Captain Chen has agreed to discussions, provided we respect their protocols." "Their protocols?" Krell snarled. "They vanished from the galaxy without explanation, and now demand we follow their rules." The Coalition Council representatives, hastily gathered via quantum link, murmured among themselves. Elder Sovin, the eldest among them, raised a gnarled hand for silence. "What precisely did the human captain tell you, Commander?" Sovin asked, his ancient eyes betraying both fear and curiosity. "That we had violated their most sacred law by boarding uninvited," Vox replied. "She mentioned something called the Silent Protocol, apparently established before their disappearance. She claims all spacefaring species were informed of it." Historian Miras stepped forward. "Elder, I've been searching our oldest archives. There is reference to a formal agreement with humans, established after an incident called the Proxima Conflict. The details are largely lost, but one stipulation remains clear. Human vessels are sovereign territory, inviolable without explicit permission. A rule established 5 centuries ago is hardly binding now," scoffed Counselor Draff. "To us, perhaps," Miras countered. "But consider, these humans went to sleep expecting to wake to a galaxy that respected their boundaries. Instead, they waked to strangers on their ship." Elder Sovin nodded slowly. "And now this Captain Chen demands what, exactly?" "Formal recognition of the Silent Protocol," Vox said, "and an explanation of how the galaxy has changed in their absence." Admiral Krell's hologram flickered as he leaned forward. "And if we refuse? If we demand they submit to Coalition authority, as is standard for all vessels in our space?" Vox hesitated before answering. Captain Chen was precise in her warning. She said, and I quote, "I am currently the only human awake. Let's keep it that way, for everyone's sake." Silence fell over the conference room. "A threat?" asked Counselor Draff. "A fact," corrected Miras. "The archives speak of the Proxima Conflict, where a human colony was threatened. They responded with such overwhelming force that 3 star systems were rendered uninhabitable. Not out of malice, but because humans, when threatened, operate on a simple principle: total commitment to survival." Elder Sovin closed his eyes, seemingly lost in ancient memories. "I remember the stories my great ancestor told, of ships that appeared from nowhere, of weapons that bent space itself, of a species that fought not to conquer, but to end threats so completely they need never fight again." "Surely these are exaggerations," Krell said, but his voice lacked conviction. "I propose we honor their request," Vox said firmly. "What harm comes from recognizing their sovereignty? From respecting boundaries they established long before our coalition existed." The council members exchanged glances, a silent debate passing between them. "Very well," Elder Sovin finally declared. "Commander Vox, you will serve as our envoy. Establish formal diplomatic relations with Captain Chen. Learn what you can about their intentions, but do not, under any circumstances, provoke them further." 2 days later, Vox found himself seated across from Captain Sarah Chen in what the humans called a conference room aboard their vessel, now identified as the UES Prometheus. The captain had changed from her medical garments into what she called a dress uniform, a sharp ensemble of deep blue with gold accents that somehow made her seem both more approachable and more formidable. "Thank you for respecting our request, Commander," Chen said, pouring a steaming liquid into 2 cups, one adapted for his physiology. "Tea, an Earth tradition when meeting new friends." Vox accepted the cup cautiously. "Friends, I was under the impression we had committed a grave offense." Chen's lips curved slightly. "You did, but you withdrew when asked and returned through proper channels. That shows respect, something the Prometheus's sensors indicate has been in short supply lately. What do you mean? Your coalition, Chen replied, sipping her tea. Our ship has been monitoring transmissions since entering this sector. We've observed 17 distinct territorial disputes, 3 species under economic sanctions, and 1 apparent genocide in progress. Not exactly the peaceful galaxy we hope to find. Vox's scales flushed with embarrassment. The coalition tries to maintain order, but resources are limited. The hegemony constantly tests our borders, and the outer realms refuse all governance. And yet you found time to investigate our ship, Chen noted without accusation. A vessel from legend appearing at the edge of contested space. We would be fools not to investigate, Vox admitted. But I am curious. Why now? Why has your ship reappeared after 5 centuries? Chen set down her cup, her expression growing serious. The Prometheus was never lost, Commander. We've been traveling at relativistic speeds. What's been 5 centuries for you has been just under 20 years for us. We're an Ark ship, the last of 12 launched before Earth's final war. Final war? Vox echoed, a chill running through him. Earth destroyed itself in conflict, Chen said simply. These ships, each carrying 10,000 colonists and crew, were humanity's contingency plan. Seek out new worlds, establish colonies, ensure the species survives. Vox struggled to process this revelation. So you're refugees. We prefer pioneers, Chen corrected. But essentially, yes, we carry Earth's legacy, its knowledge, culture, and people, which is why the silent protocol exists. Each Ark ship contains irreplaceable human lives. We cannot, will not risk them. Understanding dawned on Vox. So the warning, human ships don't take prisoners, is a deterrent, Chen finished. Our defensive systems are automated and absolute. Any unauthorized boarding triggers a cascading defense protocol that ends with the elimination of all threats. No captures, no negotiations, no second chances. It's brutal, but necessary when your ship carries the future of your species. But you didn't activate it when we boarded, Vox pointed out. Chen's expression softened slightly. The system gave me discretion. Your approach was curious, not hostile. Your weapons remained powered down. You demonstrated respect, even in your transgression. A chime sounded, and a holographic display materialized between them, showing a star chart with a planet highlighted. We've completed our survey, Chen continued. This world, at the edge of coalition space, meets our colonization parameters. Uninhabited, resource-rich, suitable atmosphere. We intend to settle there. Vox studied the chart. That's in unclaimed space, but close to hegemony territory. They may contest your presence. Let them try, Chen said simply, and Vox believed her. But we would prefer peaceful relations with all neighboring species, including your coalition. And the silent protocol? Vox asked. Will it remain in effect? Always, Chen replied without hesitation. But we're prepared to establish proper visitation procedures, diplomatic channels, trade agreements, all the niceties of civilization. We simply require one inviolable rule: no unauthorized boarding of human vessels. Ever. Vox considered this. The Council will want guarantees that your defensive capabilities won't be used aggressively. They have my word, Chen said. And as a show of good faith, she pressed a sequence on the table's surface. Throughout the ship, lights brightened, displays activated, and in the cryostasis chamber, pods began the revival process. I'm waking my senior staff, Chen explained. 20 of Earth's finest minds. Together, we'll establish our colony and formal relations with your coalition. And the others? Vox asked. They'll wake when we've confirmed the new world is safe, Chen said. When we can promise them a home free from the conflicts that destroyed Earth. Vox understood then what the ancient warnings had tried to convey. It wasn't that humans were inherently aggressive or dangerous. They were protective, fiercely, absolutely protective of their future, their legacy. When threatened, they responded with overwhelming force, not out of cruelty, but out of an unshakable commitment to survival. "I believe the coalition will accept your terms," Captain Chen Vox said, raising his cup in a gesture he hoped she would recognize. "To new beginnings." Chen smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen from her, and raised her own cup. "To new beginnings, Commander. And to understanding that sometimes the most important rules are the simplest. Respect boundaries, communicate clearly, and remember that some lines should never be crossed." As they drank, Vox reflected on the ancient warning that had echoed through centuries. Never wake a human sleeper ship. The warning remained true, but not because humans were monsters to be feared. They were survivors who had learned, through bitter experience, that some principles must be absolute to ensure survival. The silent protocol would enter coalition law the following day, its wording simple and unambiguous. Human vessels are sovereign territory, inviolable without explicit permission. Human ships don't take prisoners. They offer friendship to those who respect their boundaries, and consequences to those who do not. It was, Vox realized, a rule worth honoring, not out of fear, but out of respect for a species that had faced extinction and emerged with both strength and wisdom intact. And as the Prometheus continued its journey toward humanity's new beginning, the galaxy learned again what their ancestors had known. Some warnings transcend time for a reason.